podcast. Alright, assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Fazlin. Metric number 2421510.
The very important podcast.
My name's Ira Nadira, metric number 2422708.
The very important podcast.
My name is Bella Baker, 2425775.
Very important podcast.
And welcome to our podcast. So today we are talking about digital governance, but instead of just theory, we're focusing on a real platform that actually exists.
Yes, it really does. Because a lot of times when we talk about digital governance, it sounds very abstract, sounds like very unreal, like systems, dashboards, and frameworks. But in reality, this right here, it directly affects how people deal with the government.
Especially people in urban areas, who are usually the ones who are most affected when digital systems are poorly designed or inaccessible.
You mean rural?
I said rural.
You said urban.
Especially people in rural areas, who are usually the ones most affected when digital systems are poorly designed or inaccessible.
Exactly. And that's why we chose to analyze the Smart Kampung portal, which falls under the Ministry of Rural and Regional Development, or KKDW.
Wow.
But the unique thing about the portal that we are investigating is that it is based in Indonesia.
Wow.
So we'll also get to see how that works. And just to give some background, KKDW's main responsibility is to make sure rural communities are not left behind in national development, whether that's infrastructure, services, or access to government institutions.
Right, and that's completely true. And in a very traditional manner, rural administration depends a lot on physical offices, paperwork, and face-to-face interactions and process. That is not only time-consuming, it's also expensive, and sometimes unrealistic for villagers who live far, far away.
So Smart Kampung is basically meant to solve all these issues by putting village-level services online, centralizing them in one digital platform so people can access information and services more easily.
But we only have one big question today. Does being digital automatically mean good governance?
A portal can exist. The digital interface can exist, but that doesn't mean that it's transparent, accountable, or even, most important of all, user-friendly.
That's why, in today's episode of the Very Important Podcast, we will be evaluating Smart Kampung using public administration principles given to us by our wonderful Dr. Normala. Like transparency, efficiency, accountability, innovation, and user orientation.
And since this is public administration, PSCI 2303, we are looking at Islamic administrative values, amanah, adl, and ihsan, to see whether ethical governance is actually reflected in the platform.
Methodology.
Okay, but before we start saying whether this portal or this platform is good or bad, maybe we should actually explain how we examine, how we analyze and study said platform. Any comments on that?
Okay, yeah, sure. So for our research, we used content analysis, which is just a fancy way to say that we systematically reviewed what was publicly available on the Smart Kampung portal. So we looked at like the website's layout, the information provided, the services listed, and how users are expected to interact with it.
Oh, we didn't just randomly judge it, did we?
No, we didn't. Once again, Dr. Normala came in clutch and provided us with a coding framework. So our analysis stayed structured and academic. We focused on 6 main categories: transparency, accountability, efficiency, user orientation, innovation, and last of all, Islamic values alignment. So each category had clear indicators like whether service information is detailed, or whether feedback mechanisms existed, and whether the design of the platform was inclusive.
So basically the findings that we're about to discuss in today's podcast, in today's episode, are based on systematic observation, not just pure personal biased opinions.
Findings.
Let's start with transparency, shall we? So how did the portal perform transparency-wise?
Good question, and I think the only respectable answer we can give right here is it's pretty moderate, it's pretty mid. It's okay, but it's not strong enough. As we can see here clearly, the portal clearly explains its purpose and shows that services are available. But it does help users understand what the platform is meant for, but all in all, it's pretty moderate.
And at the same time, a lot of the information on the portal felt like it was quite general. So you could see what services existed, but you couldn't see how they worked and what the process behind them looked like.
Right, which I guess can be really confusing, especially for first-time users or people that are less tech-savvy.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to say. Transparency isn't just about showing said information. It's about making it understandable and usable.
Okay, now how about efficiency-wise?
Surprisingly, right? Efficiency was actually one of Smart Kampung's stronger areas. The portal centralizes multiple village-level services into one platform, which reduces the need for physical visits to government offices.
And that's especially important and vital in the context that we're talking of rural areas where people can take hours to go to an office, and even in said office, it can take even more hours, which just cost more time and money, which are all very valuable.
So basically what we're saying is that in terms of reducing bureaucratic burden, Smart Kampung definitely shows some sort of progress, am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
But let's move on from efficiency and talk about the real deal today. Accountability.
See, this is where the platform actually starts to weaken and kind of fall back, according to our observation in our study. While information is available on the platform, in the portal, there aren't clear, strong mechanisms in mechanisms for users to submit complaints, give feedback, or even track responses.
So what you're saying is that communication basically feels mostly one way. Like the government provides information, but citizen engagement is limited.
Exactly. And as we learned in class, accountability in digital government requires a two-way interaction, not just access.
Now, what about user orientation?
Now, it's funny that you bring that up, actually, about user orientation. The interface is relatively simple and accessible, but there are still some concerns. The design assumes early users already have a certain level of digital literacy, which you can't really account for.
Yeah, and it is quite risky because rural communities are very diverse in terms of age, education, and tech access.
That's true. Now, innovation. Is it like the most disappointing part?
I think disappointing would be a word to describe it, but yeah, why not? While the portal is digital, there's very little evidence of advanced innovation as we're probably thinking of. No visible AI usage, no automatic analytics, and very limited interagency data interrogation.
So basically, I think we'd all agree if I said that this portal kind of just came off as a very basic digital portal rather than a fully developed smart governance platform.
Smart.
So it's really ironic that it's called Smart Kampung, but is it really smart?
Something to think about.
Okay. Now let's move on to connecting this theory and linking findings to actual public admin theories that we learned in class. From a Weberian bureaucracy perspective, Smart Kampung is definitely an improvement. It's a step forward.
It's a step forward. It's an improvement. The reason why we call it an improvement, and we're talking very objectively here, very based on our observation, it reduces, number one, rigid procedures. It reduces paperwork and dependency on, most importantly, physical offices.
And at the same time, it also aligns quite well with new public management, which focuses on efficiency, performance, and service delivery using technology.
But when we look at digital governance theory, I feel like the portal still feels a bit incomplete with it.
True. And the reason why that is because true digital governance isn't merely just about digitizing services, about putting them on a digital platform. It also involves, number one, participation, accountability, transparency, and all above all, responsiveness from the users.
So overall, general, Smart Kampung represents a transition stage in governance. It moves away from traditional bureaucracy, but it just isn't ready to fully transform the governance stage just yet.
I see. Now let's move on to Islamic values and ethical reflection. Now, how does Smart Kampung reflect amanah?
So in terms of amanah, the portal actually shows a lot of effort, by making information publicly accessible and reducing unnecessary bureaucratic barriers, which really helps build trust.
And while we're talking about Islamic values and perspectives now, and we're talking about adil or justice, the initiative actually promotes fairness by ensuring rural communities aren't excluded from what we're talking about, digital services.
Right. But when we talk about ihsan or excellence, I feel like there's definitely still room for improvement, isn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. This is why I feel like the portal needs better feedback systems, clearer communication, and more inclusive design, which would reflect this entire concept of Islam.
Conclusion.
So to wrap things up, all in all, the Smart Kampung is a necessary, positive initiative, especially for rural governance.
Right. It performs well in efficiency and accessibility, but needs improvement in accountability, innovation, and citizen engagement.
So what we're all basically trying to say here is that if these specific areas were to be strengthened later on, Smart Kampung has this huge potential to become a strong model of ethical, inclusive, and digital governance.
All we said is based on our observation, based on our studies. That's all we can put out for now, and that's all we're going to say. Thanks for listening. We hope this conversation and this episode of this podcast help make digital governance feel even more real and relevant. That's all for today. Don't forget to tune back in on the most important podcast.
The very important podcast.
Once you're done coughing, then we'll count down from 3.
This is going to differ.
It's not done. I can feel it.
Cough.
Hey, yo, pat her back, yo.
What? Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.